back to another episode of Can You Tame It? Maybe you can.
Apparently
or
not.
Laugh at it.
And guys know I'm not Ash Ketchum, but I'm gonna try.
He's gonna try and catch them all, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to tame them all.
Exactly. Or you can be a Digimon tamer, whatever works.
Yeah, but dude, the laugh I was thinking of was more of this one. Let's see, the one that I always do. This one.
Ah, yeah.
Can you tame it? And it's like,
Yep.
Anyway.
Probably Can You Tame It.
So, dude, tell everybody what our topic was today.
Actually, before we do that, let's introduce ourselves.
Yes, introductions. Good thing, dude.
Yes.
Can you rock it?
Unfortunately, we don't have the rights to that. But we were going to do the Rocky Machine, but I am the tiger.
Yeah,
it's
the I am the tiger. It's the criminal.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there you go.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much that.
All right, so
ladies and gentlemen, sitting next to me is Mr. Junior Hef himself, Aaron Goldman.
Or I the Tiger, as my nickname in high school used to be.
Yeah,
That was my nickname in high school.
Yep, that's my nickname in high school. Don't stretch it out.
Yeah, really, don't worry it out. And next to me, my name is A. Goldman, as Dante said.
Yep.
And next to me is Mr.
Extra thick.
Or as I call him,
Dante
DJ
Lewis.
Lewis. Yeah,
pretty
or Dante. Yeah. So yeah, that's who we are. If you don't know us by now, you should. So yeah.
Yep, it's us two nerds.
Yep.
And this is Nerdz.
Nerds of the decade.
26.
26, yes.
Wow,
Welcome.
26.
Hello.
Welcome. You want to get us some coffee?
What's the thing that Cell always says and Majibu always says? He's
Which
just like
one?
he's just like nobody compares to
Nobody
me.
compares to
Me. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, it's like nobody compares to us. That's terrible. Anyway, people do actually. We're way better podcasts than us.
Well, too bad. We're alive.
Yeah, exactly. Well, too bad. Chow time, sweetie. Right down there.
Yeah,
exactly. We got some sweet, but not so sweet, but awesome, cool stuff to show you. So, dude, tell everybody what we're doing today.
Alrighty, so guys, for this one, we're going to be bouncing between... Actually, this one's pretty interesting. We're going to be talking about not only the cost of anime and how much it costs to produce it,
The cost of piracy.
but also the
free.
cost of... Well, that's true, too.
Yeah.
The cost of free as well.
Yes. Well, and what we mean by that is the cost of free is an article that talks about piracy and the effects on anime. Now, you guys might remember Dante did. What was the title of your article, Dante, that you did?
So,
you said all about
the Benjamins, the cost of
Benjamins,
anime.
So yeah, so this kind of leads into that, right, dude?
Right, both articles tie into one another. I almost did Liberty Bibbity again. But both articles tie into one another because both of them kind of lead into like different areas about how much it costs to produce anime. And of course the cost of piracy because there are some areas that can't really get access to a lot of the anime that they really want to watch. So
True.
What do? You Jack Sparrow it.
Yep. Yeah. You just kind of 9/11 it, right, dude? 9/11 it. That's horrible. Yeah, hijack a plane and take your anime on a little road trip. It's like road trip.
Yeah, and then of course you're kind of like laughing the whole time.
You're cracking up in the back seat, right? No, while you're hijacking a bunch of anime.
Oh, jeez, that's terrible.
And then of course, the licensing company for the anime is like, all right, you just started some.
And then they're gonna fight you.
Yeah, really.
They're gonna fight you for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys.
And the whole community is like, the rest of everyone's looking at you like.
It's official. You suck.
So yeah, don't be that guy.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to be that.
So
guy.
dude, let's get into it, dude.
All right, let's get into this, guys. So I'm going to be reading a little bit from the cost of anime, the one that I did, and also a little bit of free.
Yes.
Now, guys, if you've been an anime fan since the 90s or even the 80s, then you're already familiar with how it became so popular today. The art style, the direction, the animation, the complex stories, the character development, if there is any.
Yeah, it depends. Depends on if you're watching.
There's a few offenders out there, and you know
really.
who you are.
To Love Rue, you're one of them.
Yeah,
just to name a few.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, dude, do you remember the time? The time that before anime was in CDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays? You want to know what form anime was on?
What?
It was on bricks. VHS tapes.
Well, yeah, dude, because I remember that because I believe it's in Chris Stuckman's video when he does the retrospective on Toonami, he shows all of the collection of his old DVZ tapes. Also, Christopher Sabat talks about that on Chris Darkman's video of retrospective of Toonami. There's a piece with Christopher Sabat where he says the first time he was introduced to DBZ was actually on VHS tape. They'd give him a big bag of VHS tapes and he'd go back and watch all the Frieza saga. Jeez. So yeah, you're right. It was all on VHS tapes.
That's basically 12. That's 12 bricks. Do you know how much 12 bricks cost back then?
Believe me, Dante, I remember VHS. VHS was not cheap.
No, it wasn't.
So,
and of course on VHS, you only got at least 2 episodes. If you're lucky, you get like 2 or 3 episodes.
You couldn't just skip back and forth like you can today. You had to rewind, which took a little while.
Exactly.
Right, dude?
Exactly. Unfortunately, kids these days will never know how hard it was back then for us.
And if you're unlucky, your tape broke, and then you were screwed.
Yeah. God help you if you hit the rewind button too many times, and then you get that little film that just pops out of your VHS tape.
Yep.
I remember that, and then you had to use a number 2 pencil to try and roll it back up.
And then, dude, they also had a repair kit if you broke it. They had a stitch kit where you could repair it. It was not easy.
That's true. So. But yeah, guys, this may come as a shock, but dubbing anime back then.
Oh, dude, don't get me started on that one, dude. That's a whole nother podcast episode right there. Because, dude, the dubbing process back then was not great.
Oh, yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah. That's a whole other thing we're going to be covering.
That's a whole other can of worms.
Or wigglers, whatever you have, yo.
Wiggly jiggly. Yeah.
But yeah.
That's a whole other can of boobies.
That's true. That's true.
a whole other can of boobies.
Oh, man. But, dude, back then, I actually remember Funimation talking about before they even got their studio, they had to perform out of like some upper level closet.
Real old equipment too.
Yeah, like really old equipment. Like I don't even remember the name of it, but it's like some old stuff from the 90s that they had to record on.
Yep.
And then you got your ocean dubs and everything.
And 4Kids, don't forget about that.
Yes, 4Kids.
Yeah, so dude,
guys, I know how much you may feel iffy about them now, but back then anime was heavily censored back then.
So I will say this, and I wanted to say this on camera, right? People give 4Kids a bad name, which I understand why. They weren't great at dubbing, but there's one thing that I think that they did well, that 4Kids did well, is that not all the time. This is once in a while. Like, for example, One Piece, the opening to One Piece, the 4Kids opening to One Piece with the voices that did it. I liked the voices that did that. The voice cast for that opening, right? Especially Gold Roger. I liked the voice of Gold Roger. In that, now people might disagree with me. People might completely hate it. As opposed to now, I don't really like the voice of Gold Roger. I don't mind the theme song now. I kind of liked the 4Kids one, but it's like I can see where people say that the new one is better. But I did like the voice cast for Gold Roger on the 4Kids dub. Yeah, because it was the guy who did. I think it was the same person who did Sento Kaiba, wasn't it? It was the same voice.
Yeah, it was.
But I liked that style, that voice style that he has, and the way he did Gold Roger. It's just kind of made it. Something about it made it interesting. That's my opinion. Now, if you guys hated it, I totally get it. Right. 4Kids was not great.
Maybe people may like it, and maybe some people didn't. But I think back then, 4Kids was actually a lot of the voice casts from 4Kids actually came from Studiopolis.
Yeah, correct. But dude, I will tell you this thing. I'll make this joke. Yeah. 4Kids had the name 4Kids. It was not 4Kids because kids hated it. They hated the dubbing process. At least 90s kids back then did not like it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Nowadays, people are like,
It's official.
You suck. Exactly.
So,
and people are also so mad. They're like, okay, it's time for
fight it and destroy it.
Yeah, destroying 4Kids.
Yeah. To a lot of people, 4Kids is.
It's just a yep. And so what's the thing that Alucard says? He's just like you used to be a shit.
Used to be a
pile of shit. He's like, but now you're dog shit. Exactly.
Oh, jeez. All right, that's crazy though. But okay, enough racing 4Kids. But, oh man,
making fun of 4Kids.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We're poking fun of 4Kids. Yeah.
But anyway, I would say, guys, for those of you who are interested in making anime or the anime process.
Of course you are. Hey, dude, it sounds like I know, right? Do that old Spice thing. Oh, switch it to the anime. Say it again, but make it sound like an old Spice commercial.
You know what?
Are you interested in anime? Of course you are.
Okay, dude. Since you put it that way, I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
All right,
I'm
do
gonna
it.
go
Go
ahead and
ahead.
do it.
This is so funny.
Oh boy, here we go.
Hello, ladies.
See,
Come
you
on.
you gotta let me finish it.
All right. Go ahead. I'm gonna shut up now. All right.
Yeah, you gotta let me finish it.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Hello, ladies. Are you interested in making anime? Of course you are. Are you interested in the cost of 60 seconds of 2D animation? I don't know.
You tell me.
For anyone who has taken animation courses, the animation part of the overall process is done in frames. Beautiful, sleek, and sexy frames.
To be exact, 1080 frames.
1080 frames.
I thought you were gonna keep going. I was like,
you were smiling. You made me mess up.
sorry, it was kind of fun, dude.
Okay, done in frames to simulate an action or actions that are taking place. This is also the part where the animators get the most creative, if you know what I mean. If you've heard the word FPS, no, not first-person shooter, then you may have seen whether you render videos or from videos from YouTube. Shoot, I was almost close with it.
Yeah.
But for anime in this case, it is rendered between 24 and 30 frames per second. But for this post, we are going to say 30 frames per second. There are 60 frames in a minute with an FPS of 30. It's 30 times 60, which is 1800 frames per minute.
So anyway, dude. So dude, anyway, that's the article that you wrote.
Right.
Right. But then, dude, go into a little bit about the cost of free and what that talks about. Because remember, dude,
Right.
We've done a previous episode covering some of the ones that you wrote. So, dude, how did you want to? Or you said they both tie in together. So, dude, go into the cost of free because not everyone has read all of the cost of free.
Right. So I'm going to read a little bit of an excerpt from the cost of free, and you guys can actually find it from mymetmedia.com.
Yes.
So shout outs to those guys.
You can search it on there.
Yeah, you can Google it and search it.
You can read the article.
There,
yeah.
so.
We might put a link up to it.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll put a link.
Throw it under our YouTube video, right?
Yeah.
Put a
That's
link
true.
up there. Yeah.
So yeah. So here's a little excerpt to it. So to own, like say if you're trying to own an anime series, for example, it could cost well over $1,500 due to the series being split up and sold, and several dozen smaller packages and earlier entries being out of print. This would be absurd.
And then also for licensing too.
That's true.
You know? Yeah.
So I mean, if you're like a rabid fan who constantly needs your anime now and you don't want to wait, because I know there's certain individuals.
Yeah, certain people are a little
crazy
and
for that
evil
anime.
for anime. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, honestly, since the birth of, not the birth of the internet, but since the internet craze of the 2010s, because I think that's kind of when it really started.
The craze.
The
of
crazy.
2010s.
That's true.
2010, craziest year ever. Last time in 2010, anime exploded all over the universe. He got super chunky, and the universe got larger.
That's true. That's true.
It sounds like a movie commercial, right, dude?
It definitely sounds like a movie commercial.
Go ahead, dude.
But yeah, at the same time, it also has brought on pirates.
And no, we're not talking about Monkey D. Luffy.
And
we're talking about cyber pirates. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just say they wanted that One Piece, all right.
Yeah.
They wanted that one piece of the pie.
Yeah, really. The grand line, which is like that fine line between paying for yourself and getting it free.
Well, in some cases, some Western publishers like Funimation have taken notice of that when a lot of people have been trying to get their hands on older series by pirating it and touring it illegally. So now, in order to do that, they actually have to, maybe rescue the license and reselling for a much lower price than the original prints, now seen as collector's items.
Ooh.
So if you notice, dude, you may even have a couple of collector's items because they had to go back and renew that license.
True.
So it would discourage people from trying to steal it.
Yep. Yeah,
And
see, guys?
speaking of steals, do you guys want to know what the cost of 60 seconds of frame?
You mean
I'm
animation?
talking about 30 FPS at 60 frames per second.
anime.
You guys want to know what that cost is?
Go ahead, dude.
It's $6,000.
Wow, $6,000.
Yeah, it's $6,000.
Yeah.
So, dude, let me ask you something.
No, you let me ask you something.
Yeah, go ahead. What is it? What?
Would you be willing to pay $6,000 for 60 seconds of frame animation?
If it meant they could turn me into an anime character, maybe.
Possibly. Possibly.
Or the other way I could do. The other way I would do it is if I could be with my favorite waifu, possibly. And that's what any anime fan would probably tell you.
Yeah,
right?
that's
They
true.
could
That's
say,
true.
if you could be with your
If you
favorite
can animate
waifu
me
character,
into the story that I
Yeah.
like so much,
and you could
I
be
will
with your,
gladly pay that $6,000.
Alexa, shut up. We're not talking to you. Apparently, Alexa thinks that she's that I'm her waifu. Apparently.
You keep calling her that.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
no, like if you could be with your favorite waifu, like I said, maybe, and that's probbe what anybody would say, right, dude?
That's true. That's
Now,
that's
me
probably
personally,
true.
would I want to spend $6,000? Probably not. Do I have $6,000? No.
I mean, you can always take out a loan,
Yeah, really.
but that's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, when it comes to streaming illegally, yeah, it actually what it really does is oh man. You know those season 2s and season 3s of those shows that you want and they end up getting delayed for whatever strange reason? Because I don't know. Maybe some of the financing that's needed to produce those shows kind of gets pushed back
Yep.
because there's some revenue that's being pulled away.
Yep. Or it's missing.
And they're unable to recoup because if you
Yeah.
think about it, most of the money that's being made from anime actually comes from merchandise sales.
True. True. And
Like
also
your, like
sales
your
of
t-shirts, your
DVDs.
DVDs,
Too.
yep.
Yeah.
And your Blu-rays.
Yeah.
And your figures.
Yeah. Figures.
Which you can attest for because you got at least $6,000 worth of figures.
Oh, you mean 1,100 or over, probably?
Jeez
Over.
Louise with the cracker and cheese.
Well, because you remember the Ultra Instinct Goku I have is
That's
worth
true.
$1,100. We looked
Exactly.
him up, and he's worth a lot. So yeah, I have a lot of figures. Yes, I used to be a Padawan, but now I am a figure master. Oh God, it sounds terrible.
Oh,
figure
God.
master. I don't mean that. I don't mean I have a great figure because God knows I don't. Okay?
Well, he's got a dad bod, but you know, you can.
not really. I don't have that much of a dad bod. I'm a little chunky. I'm not that bad.
Don't feel too bad, dude. At least you're not
Extra thick.
You
like
mean
I
you
am,
are?
unfortunately.
Yeah, but dude, some people like a little more cushion for the pushing.
Nah, that's a whole nother podcast. We can save that for real.
I mean, no, I'm not Goku, but I'm not chunky either. Like I'm a little. I gained a little weight during the pandemic, but I'm not that bad.
It's pandemic weight. Don't even worry
I
about it.
probably could stand to lose a pound or two.
You probably could.
But anyway, dude.
Nah, just kidding.
Yeah,
You probably could.
Yeah, I could probably.
But dude, since you're talking about $6,000,
Can you imagine buying $6,000 worth of food?
I don't know. If you bought $6,000 worth of food, I don't know.
It probably wouldn't go very far today since prices are higher.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
$6,000 wouldn't even last you a year. But speaking of $6,000, can you imagine what happened if you multiply that number by 24?
Oh gosh, dude, I don't even want to think about that.
Dude, if 60 seconds of animation costs $6,000,
Yeah.
and you multiply it by 24 with 24-minute episodes with the anime the way it is now,
Yeah.
you are looking at just for one episode alone, it's going to cost you $144,000 just to produce one episode alone.
That's a lot of money.
Exactly. And where exactly does
Dude,
that money go?
that's almost as much as some films for some live action films.
So, for live action films, it's a little bit... Dude, well, speaking of live action films...
Well, some live action films are more than that, but I mean, like
They
low
are.
budget ones, you know,
Low budget,
you're getting
yeah.
close to some of the low budget film.
Sonic,
films.
on the other hand,
Yeah.
they got that MCU type money.
And don't worry, guys, we do have a plan to do an extras for Sonic.
Oh, yeah.
So don't,
Yeah,
if
the
you wanna
amount
hear-
of money that movie has made... Go see the movie, because we saw it.
If you want to hear our opinions on Sonic, we do have a plan to do
we
extras.
do.
So yes.
But yeah, $144,000 just for one episode,
Yeah.
or $138 if you're producing a 23-minute episode.
Yeah. But anyway, dude, go back to the cost of
But
free.
yeah,
because,
definitely.
because I
So
wanna- I
yeah,
wanna
sadly, when it comes to anime piracy, it kind of impacts the voice actors who provide English dub tracks for some of the shows. This also affects the English voice actors as well.
True.
Because keep in mind, I don't really think that they get a whole lot of royalties when they do stuff, but it does affect them in some way.
It depends on what licenses, I believe, that whatever licensing and what the Japanese allow the licensing companies to do.
True.
If I remember correctly, I believe because
Right.
they're like you were saying some depending on which area who gets licensed to what, right?
Right.
So if it's Funimation, they get certain licenses and they're able to do certain stuff. And then other places like
your
Bang
Sentai
Zoom
Film-
and
yeah,
Sentai
Sentai
Filmworks get
Aniplex.
different licenses for different stuff, and they're allowed to do certain things with
Right.
the adaptation, the English adaptation or English dub of that show. So it depends on what kind of stuff they're allowed to do. International copyright is tricky.
It is.
So,
it's very
yeah.
tricky.
Um,
And of course, not only that, for voice actings and for voice actors, I know people look at them as like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. Oh, this is gonna be cool. They don't really make as much money.
no, they don't.
As the average
they don't make as
person.
much money as
In
people
fact,
think. Yeah.
In fact, they only make as few as like $100, as few as like a couple $100, like between $100 and $300 just for their work.
Depends.
alone.
It depends on the job. Depends on
Right.
what kind of acting role they're cast for, and whether it's like a major role or whether it's not. Whether it's just a background role, and it depends on how big that role is, and also what the pay is for. that
And
particular
also
role.
if they're union or non-union.
I believe that if you're cast as a main character, as like the main MC, you are getting paid. Kind of like you are getting paid more. Kind of like with movies, right?
Right.
If you're the main MC character in a movie or the main
Then you
character
would get
in a
top
movie,
billing
yeah,
payment.
you would get more money because you're the main character in that film, or you're like the main. You're gonna have the most on-screen time.
Right.
So I would, and I'm not 100% sure on this. Don't quote me on this, but I believe with the English dubbing, when you're a voice actor for a dubbed anime, if you're like the main MC, you are gonna get paid a little more than what your other characters are, because you're gonna have the most on-screen time. You're gonna be on the screen. You're gonna be doing the most voice work out of everyone, because they're gonna call you in every
Right.
single episode. Whereas like other stuff, they're not gonna call you in every time. Anyway, just
Right. It
But dude,
it basically depends.
But dude, read more of the Cost of Free. What it says about pirating.
yeah, definitely. I mean, they receive as low as $100 of their work, along with like your residual payments based on how well a series they voice sells. So also the selling factor of that series, they also get paid based on how popular that series is.
Yeah.
In residuals.
So that means, guys, if you support shows that are not very well written with character development,
Even if it's a terrible show,
Yeah.
guess what? They still get paid for
yeah.
it.
Which is why we as content creators try to tell you, support the shows that are worth watching. Do something that has a great story, that does good job of setting up its characters and developing its characters. Because a lot of people would
because there was
depending on your opinion,
well,
there are
that's
people out there who
true.
want to watch something with a story rather than watch nonsensical nonsense. Which we do have a podcast on that.
We do.
Right. And so if you're not sure which direction to go in, go check that episode out.
That's
But
gonna
yeah,
be number 23.
Support your good shows,
Right, because honestly, guys, if
So that means, like, dude, if you really want to see another episode or another season
or in this case, if you want to see anime that has a little more plot and character development,
support the shows that have good writing.
Yeah,
What's the one that I'm following, dude? It's
shoot. Is it Mashoku or
Mushoku Tensei. Yes, that's a good example. If you want to see more of Mushoku Tensei, buy the show, support the show, support your writers, support your artists, and they'll make more. Buy your figures too.
buy the show, buy the figures,
yeah.
buy the DVD, because think about it. Those residuals get back to like the voice actors and everything, and
also
overseas.
if they make a mistake, guys, if someone makes a mistake, right? If the production studio, like say Funimation, messes up on the translation, or say I don't know, there's a mistake when they're doing the dub version or the sub version, whatever. Say something. Don't be afraid to say, hey, look, you guys messed up, or hey, that didn't get translated right. Just like what the Sonic community did, they stood up and corrected the movie when they were going to do Sonic, that horrible version of Sonic.
Right, because they were almost going to let that 2019 ugly freaking version pass through.
So don't be afraid to stand up and say this. Now, there's a difference between standing up and also just downright being rude to the studio, okay? I'm not saying downright be rude to the studio or criticize the studio. What I'm saying is that you can make enough noise by saying, hey, look, this didn't come over right, this didn't translate right, or hey, look, we don't like how this came out. in a way where you're not gonna.
So it doesn't sound like you're coming off as a jerk.
Exactly, where it doesn't sound like you're coming. And I think the Sonic community did a good job of that with the film. So if you are, what I'm saying to you is, if you're able to get on social media and you see something that maybe is a mistake in translation, speak up. Say, hey, look, this could be a mistake in translation, or hey, you might need to go back through this.
On it.
Yeah, I'd say, hey, look, this could be done better. Good example would be Rosario Vampire. If you guys really want another Rosario Vampire,
if you want that remade,
speak up. Say something. If enough people say something, they'll do something.
I wonder if Gonzo still owns the rights to it.
I don't know. I'm not sure who does.
Because Gonzo was the one that did it.
But also in that case, right, I wouldn't... Okay, so in that case, I wouldn't necessarily say buy the one that's currently out, because if you don't like that one, then... but if you do, that's a different story. Like, so it depends. On that one, I'd say if you want another season, speak up and say something. Don't be afraid to say, hey, look, go to Funimation and say, hey... we want, and if enough people say that we want one that's done to the manga, they might do. The Japanese might consider it.
Right, maybe. Yeah. If you
speak up and say
want
something.
them, I would say this: if you want them to give Rosario Vampire the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood treatment, say something.
Yeah, don't be afraid to speak up. Yeah, we as the fans do have, and us as fans do have
a say.
A say, and also some sway over what happens. Not a whole lot because of big licensing companies and also Japan, but. And Japan rules are different, but we do have some say on at least in the English dub side of what happens. So,
that's true, definitely. So, and also, well, guys, if the series, for whatever reason, gets pirated, stolen, or torrented for whatever reason, guess what happens? They lose that post-production income, which is kind of making it harder for a lot of voice actors to pursue their career.
True.
Because when a series is stolen... that money that's needed for them is also,
and then also that also means that some of the storyline and some of the development
it can really hurt the production value of the overall product,
and even the story. They might have to cut parts out that they don't necessarily want to cut out. So like, okay, good example, SAO, right? When studios and productions lose budget, they shorten the story.
They won't be able to put the stuff in that they wanted to.
They can't do it the way they originally intended because they don't have the revenue to do so.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So, there's a lot of titles out there that fall into that.
Yeah, they fall short.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, if you love your shows and you want the production companies to do them the way that the way for them to be intended to be done, make sure you support them, because anime is not cheap. And speaking of not cheap,
especially nowadays with how
that's true. Speaking of not cheap. A 12-episode series. Guess how much it costs, dude?
I don't even want to know, Dante.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
A 12-episode just for like one season.
It's probably ridiculously expensive.
It is. It costs anywhere between $1.6 million and $1.7 million just to produce a 12-episode season.
Man,
so for a lot of anime production companies, I remember back in the 2000s, they used to produce those 25, 26 episode seasons.
Now, how did you calculate that? Because some people might be wondering, like, is that U.S. dollars or is that, because Japanese yen is a little different.
Yeah, Japanese yen is a bit different. This is U.S. dollars, just so you know. Yeah, this is U.S. dollars. Now, yen, the currency is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. But in U.S. dollars, it costs $1.7 million just to do this.
If you guys want to see that article, you can look up.
So yeah, we'll also make sure that we
link the article that Dante wrote.
Yeah, put a link to it. So yeah, basically.
So what else does tell people what else? Tell people a little bit more about the cost of free article and what it says.
Yeah, definitely. About. So if you think about it, legal streaming sites like you know Crunchyroll and unfortunately Crunchyroll's now Funchiroll now.
Funchiroll.
But Crunchyroll and Funimation, they kind of bulked up the categories to offer like a number of different services to both fans, old and new, depending on what genre you're in. And the asking price is only $6.09. Who doesn't have $7?
Me right now.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people I know that only have $7. It only costs $7 a month.
Well, dude, the only reason I say that is because we've been spending money on our studio equipment.
Yeah,
that's why.
Sure. That's a whole other thing.
On doing advertisements for YouTube and everything. That's why I say I don't have $7 enough.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but and don't take that the wrong way, guys. That does not mean that that doesn't mean what you think it might mean. I actually have been looking into a lot of streaming services lately. I'm just waiting till a time where I can actually afford to do it. Yeah,
and I think that's probably like the argument that a lot of fans who are pirating for whatever reason are making, because they can't afford it for some reason. Either they can't afford it, or depending on what region they're in, because there's certain regions that kind of block that access. Like say I'm trying to come up with.
Well, Japan doesn't let you stream anime in Japan, so that's really crazy.
Yeah, you actually have to get a VPN in order to watch the stuff in Japan.
The other thing I was going to say to you too, Dante, is that the other reason for some people that are pirating stuff, it could be because of there's so many different streaming services, people don't know which one to stay with, and because of costs being very up and down. So just like Netflix, what Netflix does, where they raise their costs once in a while, it goes up, then it goes down, then it goes up. People may be like, hey, I don't really want to pay a lot more for a shifting rate, right? If the rate goes up, you're like, oh, I'm dropping this and going on to something else. Also, the other thing that plays a factor in that is that not every streaming service has the same titles. Exactly. They all get licensed to different titles and they'll have exclusives to different streaming services. So that's a big issue where if streaming services offered something better or a bigger list or just more on every platform, and they had shows that more people wanted to watch, you wouldn't have that problem. You could sign up for one and you wouldn't have a big deal. But I feel like on the other hand, if you do that right, then you're losing out your competition. There's no competition because everything has the same. So there's
multiple factors.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors in there that come into play.
And in some cases, if for whatever reason, like say Funimation or Crunchyroll decides to like let a license go, then they are no longer allowed to stream that show.
Yeah, someone else will pick it up and they'll have the streaming rights to it, and they'll stream it for however long they have the rights to. It's like what TV show licensors do too, because if you look at Paramount and Disney and everything, they switch licenses around with shows all the time, and so something might be on Hulu, then the next minute it goes on to onto some other service, or it might go on to like Disney Plus, or it might go on to Paramount, or it might go into HBO Max, or HBO Max has a lot of animated series right now. So stuff is always shifting around from different things, which is kind of confusing to people. So that could also be a reason why
that could be. But I've also noticed that Fathom events.
Fathom events, yeah.
What I've also noticed that because of the constant shift in the flat rates for streaming services, for a lot of older titles like your Studio Ghibli films, and then your 5 millimeters per second, and things
5
like
centimeters,
5 centimeters. Why did I say millimeters?
If you go 5 millimeters, that's not you're inching along like an inchworm. That's really slow.
Is an inchworm really an inch though?
I'm not quite sure about that. Actually, I don't quite know. I never actually. That's funny.
Can you inch it? Yeah. Next time.
Oh God, can you? That sounds wrong. Can you inch it?
Can you inch it? Well, yeah, I think.
Can you wiggle it?
See, now we're going off.
Oh gosh, anyway.
Oh jeez, but yeah, Fathom Events I think is also trying to help recuperate the costs of pirating by also allowing a lot of the older anime movies and anime titles to be like $5 in the movie theater, because every now and then you'll see.
It's funny that you say that, because like really when we went to see Sonic, they do a whole week of Miyazaki films in the theaters. Yeah. But the problem with doing that is that then that costs you a lot more money, because you have to go to the theaters and you've paid more for a ticket.
I think for
because you have to be a subs member in AMC to be able to go watch.
For AMC, yes.
Yeah, which costs you more money.
But
you might be able to watch some Ghibli movies, but you're going to pay more for.
But I think also for your local theaters and then your independent theaters are trying to offer the new and old films for as low as $5. Yeah. Just so that revenue can be redistributed to the voice actors during like the post-release pay, because during that time, like we mentioned before, the voice actors only get like anywhere between $100 and $300. So
depends on what.
Depends on how successful.
Depends on what the show is, and also what role they're playing and stuff like that. There's a lot of factors that play into that.
There's tons of factors. But
and don't quote us on that, because that may not be exactly how it works. That's just kind of
maybe just a little bit fallible somewhere.
Yeah, there might be a little bit, but yeah.
But basically, so a lot of streaming services and movies are trying to like balance out those different costs.
Yeah. If you ever go to a convention and you talk to any actors, they will tell you that voice actors don't make what they should. And
I think there's actually some people that are actually some voice actors that are trying to fix that.
Yeah.
Like for your union-based actors, would make a little bit more because they have certain contractual agreements that allow them to make just a little bit more than your non-unions.
We'll also remember they also work on specific projects
True.
too. So because they're union based, so they get certain projects in. Now, see, they can't work on everything though. That's
No,
the
they
thing.
can't.
They can only work on stuff that's in their contract or that they're allowed to
Or
do.
allowed to.
Yeah. So
yeah, you also got to factor that in too.
Yeah.
But
dude, what else does the article say, dude?
I would say for the cost of free. Yeah, unfortunately, guys, we will have to pay for anime in some way or another in order to support it legally, so we can get the things that we want out of anime and not the stuff that we don't. Yeah. It can get costly if you want to buy several series. Take Exhibit A for example.
Exhibit A. What do you mean,
dude? Do you know how much you paid for a lot of the anime shows that you bought?
Yeah, I didn't pay that much, dude. A lot of the stuff that I got on DVD and Blu-ray was on sale.
Right.
So that's one way you can do it is you can go So like with Funimation, and I think it's Funimation has the Super Save. Yeah, Right Stuff also has sales every once in a while, and you can go on the sales. So if you really want a show and you say you can't buy the whole thing, right? The entire Blu-ray, you can buy it in seasons, which sometimes, depending on if they're on sale, you can get one season on sale, and then maybe, I don't know, later on get the rest of it later. Or if it's the whole thing, the complete series on sale, you can buy the whole thing on Super Save or whatever the sale deal and get a good price. So you can also do that. You can wait till sales come. Now, the bad thing about that though is that waiting till on sale means that usually that's as much money as they're gonna make off of that. No, that's like the cutoff, right?
Right.
If you buy it when it first, if you pre-order it, right, you are supporting the series more than what someone buying the Super Save edition is, because at that point, right, they're trying to bring in new titles. That streaming service or that seller, that licensor is trying to bring in new titles. And that is why it is discounted or going down.
That means
so really, if you really like the show and you really want to support the anime, buy it when it is pre-ordered. Yeah, buy it when it's released and pre-order. Yes, we know it's more expensive, but that's one of the best ways to support, like Dante was saying, to support your shows if you really want to see another season.
True.
So yeah.
Yeah. So all in all,
I personally, and I'm guilty of this, I personally do end up buying Super Save because usually at the time of the release, I don't have the money to be able to buy it when it is released, right? Or to pre-order it, right? Which is why I do wait for deals or why I go to conventions, which is terrible because like you're not doing as much as you could to support the show as you could if you bought it when it's released. Now another thing too is that some shows like Don Machi and other ones, some popular shows do cost you more when they are pre-orders, and that could be also a problem too. Why people?
Well, if you buy the deluxe edition, yeah.
Or like with movies, the steel covers always cost more.
True.
So yeah, but the main thing is, guys, don't pirate anime because it will end up hurting a lot more. Yeah, ends up hurting the industry more than you might think, and also hurting the consumer more than you might think.
Yeah, and also I know a lot of people will try to make try to make some arguments as to why some people are defending pirating, and like, well, the only reason we do it is because I don't know, we can't afford that $7 a month, or we can't really stream it in our region because it's blocked by our government, or this, that, and the other.
Yeah. There are ways to get around the region lock, so like VPNs are a good way, but be careful now with VPNs because there's some information that you have to do your research when it comes to VPNs because there is some shady business going on.
And be mindful which ones you select.
Be careful, yes. And then streaming services, guys, just look through the streaming services and be careful. One of the things I will recommend, though, dude, since we're talking about the cost of free and also both articles, one thing I will recommend is if you are someone who like uses Apple TV, right? Either Apple TV or what's the other one? There's
There's Apple TV. There's Verve.
Well, Verve is an anime streaming service, but
yeah.
I'm talking about like something that does multiple services. So like Apple TV is a good one because you can sign up for any streaming services within Apple TV. And sometimes you can get a better deal sometimes through that. Or sometimes you might sign up for one for like a couple months and then drop it and switch to something else. That's a good thing because that gives you options, right?
Sure.
The other thing is Roku. If you have Roku, Roku's cool because Roku, you pay a flat rate for Roku and that's it. You have Roku and then you can sign up for any services inside of Roku that you want. Crunchyroll, Netflix, anything you want. Which is cool because you don't have to stay with those services long. You can say watch it for I don't know, stay with it for a few months and then drop it if you wanted to, right?
Right.
Or sign up for like a year of Netflix and then drop it afterwards and try Crunchyroll, right? You could switch between depending on the price. If the price went up too much for Netflix, you can switch to Crunchyroll.
That's true.
And you don't have to do a premium subscription for Crunchyroll. You can do their basic tier. So consider that too. If you're not someone who has a lot of cash, you can do their basic.
Yeah, if you're not working with a lot.
That's always something I wanted to do was a basic tier of Crunchyroll. The only problem is I never had a device that could get Crunchyroll on it other than my phone.
And also they need to fix their app too because a lot of people.
That's another thing too is that streaming services, if you are a big streaming service like Crunchyroll or whatever, do make sure that your app is up to date. Now, I wouldn't blame it so much on the streaming services as I would on people because people don't update their apps often enough, Dante, with their TVs and stuff. So make sure your stuff is up to date if you're using a streaming service because if your app is not up to date, then you're going to have stuttering and all kinds of problems.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Anyway,
not just your app, but also your computer.
Yeah. Anyway, dude, we should probably wrap this up.
But yeah, ultimately, guys, we will say this. If you truly want to support the shows that you love, and those behind them and the medium as a whole, we have to accept the fact that anime is not going to come free.
And it's not going to be cheap either.
It's not cheap.
Yeah. Anyway, with that, we hope we granted your wish, right? So we have this to say.
Your wish has been granted.
Until next time.
Yep. Can you grant it?